A federal judge is trying to determine whether the Trump administration violated his court order when this weekend it deported about 200 Venezuelans to El Salvador, despite his order forbidding it. The New York Times has done analysis of flight data. Let's look at the facts. At 5:26, the first flight of Venezuelans leave Texas. At 5:44 p.m., the second flight departs Texas. While all this is going on, there is a hearing getting underway in federal court. And at 6:48 p.m., a federal judge orders the Trump administration to halt the deportations and says verbally from the bench to turn those planes around and come back to the United States immediately. The first one is already over Mexico at the time the judge makes his order. The second plane that's taken off is already over water. And then there's a third plane, which is still on the ground in Texas. At this point, when the judge issues his order, none of the flights have reached their final destination. At 7:26 p.m., the judge issues a written order, which is posted online. 10 minutes after the judge's written order, the final flight leaves Texas. The Trump administration says they obeyed the judge's order. They say the third plane, which took off after his order, was full of people who were being deported but were not subject to the new executive order. They were being deported under existing laws. And they also say that the written order didn't include the sentence about turning the planes around, and so they are following the written order and not the verbal order. This order impacts about 200 people. The Trump administration accuses them of being members of a criminal gang, but we don't actually have a way to verify that, and that's why this judge's hearing is so important, because he's saying everybody needs their day in court. This all relies on a wartime law, but we're not in a war with Venezuela. The concern here is that we could be building towards a nightmare scenario where the executive branch feels they no longer have to follow the rules of federal judges. And that is the constitutional crisis that many legal scholars are very concerned about.